Okay, so good morning and happy Friday. Today we are live on Facebook. We also have participants on Zoom with us, and we are going to do a mini digital boot camp in less than an hour. So we have a challenge ahead of us. So it's going to move fast. I want everyone to know that we're going to spend 10 minutes with each person, and then we'll stop, and our Zoomers will be able to ask us questions, and then we'll move to the next segment. And then after this, everyone will receive the step-by-step instructions on how to do each piece of the digital topics that we talk about, as well as we're going to give you recommended equipment, where to buy it, all kinds of stuff like that. So for everybody who wants to know how to do this themselves. So we're going to start with Mr. Steve Casillo.
Hello.
And Steve, if you would just kind of introduce yourself, and then I'm going to start asking you some questions.
Okay, my name is Steve Casillo. I own Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio. I opened it in October of 2019, but it lends a hand to my 30 years of audio production in the radio business. I worked in talk radio for nearly 30 years, and so when I was looking to basically recreate myself and my career, I saw the opportunity to take advantage of the growing podcast industry and opened up Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio.
Cool. All right. So if I today decide that I want to do my own podcast, um, I would think that maybe the first thing that I would need to do is come up with a subject matter.
Not only a subject matter, but yes, there's. Let's talk about the main topic is what you need to think about, and we'll use real estate as an example because I probably know more realtors in Mansfield than any other profession type. So, all right, so real estate is your main topic. That's your umbrella. And then you start breaking it down into subtopics, and those are your individual episodes. Local area properties, affordable properties, housing trends, client testimonials. Those could each be a different episode. So yes, you need to come up with a topic.
Okay. All right. And then
And the,
one,
and I'm sorry to interrupt, but the topic doesn't necessarily have to be what you do for a living. It
oh,
should
good
be
point.
it should be your passion.
Good point. Yes, because you're going to have to talk about it a lot, and you're going to have to be able to demonstrate that passion in your voice and everything that you do, right?
Absolutely. And that's the one thing that a podcast offers that a brochure or a website doesn't do, and that is the opportunity for you to share your voice, and it shares your passion. And if there's one takeaway from this entire boot camp, is the spoken voice is more powerful than the written word. So write that down, do a screenshot, do whatever you have to do, but remember the spoken voice is more powerful than the written word. And so the podcast gives you that opportunity to show your passion through audio, through using your voice, that you can lower your voice and reel your listeners in, and you can show more expression, much more than a brochure or a website can do.
Well, and I know that you have mentioned to me before about actually using audio on your website.
Sure, and
Tell me about that.
audio is very simple in that all you need is a microphone and a place to record, and a place to record could be your office with a on a computer, and you create an MP3 file and do what's known as embedding into your website. I would not do automatic audio because a lot of people are turned off by going to a website where audio all of a sudden comes
Mhm.
on. You have to let them click on it to hear it. But yeah, adding audio to your website is a very simple thing to do, especially if a webmaster or if the owner of the website is just a little bit tech savvy.
Okay. So, all right. So I have my umbrella of a topic. I have something very specific that I want to talk about. What's the next thing that I do? If I'm going to do this myself, what's the next step?
The next step is getting your gear, and there are there are inexpensive, moderately expensive, and grossly expensive uh, options in terms of getting equipment. And you will need obviously a microphone, and a
Hmm.
microphone could be something as simple as, I know people that do podcast recording into their telephone, into their iPhone.
Hmm.
Um, you'll need some type of way of getting your audio into the recording software. The recording software would be in your computer. A mixer or an audio interface, a pair of headphones may. In fact, let's bring up this page right here and share this screen. There we go. So here are some basic equipment options. These uh, these pieces of equipment are actually what I own at my studio. And this would be in the, I wouldn't say it's grossly expensive, but yeah, it's up there. But there are some options. So a computer, some headphones, a mixer or an audio interface, a microphone, in order to get your information onto the computer is a start.
Okay. And for someone who just, you could keep it simple. The main thing, if you were going to point out something specific about a microphone, what is a necessary thing in regards to a microphone?
A microphone is the necessary thing about the microphone is the ability to take the audio from your voice and transferring it to the computer. There are different types, obviously different types of microphones out there. The ones you want to look for are called dynamic microphones.
Okay.
Dynamic uh, dynamic microphones are microphones where you have to get really close to the microphone to get a good signal. With that, you're not going to be hearing a lot of the extraneous noise that's going on.
Okay.
One thing that I hear on the internet a lot is, well, I speak into the microphone, but there's a lot of room noise. Well, they're using what's called a condenser mic, and a condenser mic picks up everything. So when
Okay,
looking
that's
for a
that's
mic,
that's a really, really good point right there. So if you're shopping for a microphone, it needs to be dynamic. Okay. Now,
dynamic.
I know that in some of the material that you're going to give everybody, you've named some different apps or websites that can be used to actually host the podcast, or how does that
Right.
work?
Once your podcast is recorded and it's ready to go, the first thing, just like a website, podcasts need to be hosted. And there are companies out there that host nothing but podcasts. There are dozens of them, just like there are dozens of website hosts. Once you have chosen a host and you've uploaded your first podcast, you are given what's called an RSS feed, a code, and that's just like an RSS feed for a blog.
Okay.
And then you can go out to Apple Podcasts or Google Play or Spotify or iHeart or Stitcher or Tuned In or any one of these podcast playing apps, and you can submit your code to each of these apps. And the more apps you're on, the more likely your
You'll be
podcast is
heard.
going to be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I am going to, those are kind of just the basics. And then you've got, again, some really good information that you're going to share with everybody. that has the step-by-step and then some recommendations on equipment and software and stuff like that. But I'm going to ask my Zoomers at this point in time if they have any specific questions they would like to ask you before we move on to social media. So if you have a question, you'll have to unmute yourself and you'll need to speak up.
Hey, Steve, your sound quality is really great, and I heard your recommendation on the microphone, but does the sound quality have more to do with the mixer, or is it the two combined?
I think the sound quality has to do with the microphone. And literally, going the inexpensive route, I could. This microphone is $100, and the little mixer that's on my desk is under $100. Between the two of those, and it USBs right into my computer. For $200, I could have you hooked up. Well, there may be a little service charged, but yeah, it's in the microphone.
Yeah. Okay. You don't have a specific brand that you recommend, do you? Or just the whole thing it has to be dynamic?
Yeah, there are some. This one happens to be a voiceover mic that I use. I've recorded dozens of radio commercials with this mic. It's called a Behringer. Behringer is the maker. Behringer B1. It is, although it goes against what I was saying, this is not a dynamic microphone. But a Shure makes great microphones. SM58. Sennheiser makes a great microphone. The E835.
Well, they'll get the list. They'll get the list.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anybody else have another question for Steve before we move on to social media?
No, but I thought Glenda was next.
Oh, are we going to do Glenda next? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
All right. All right. So Miss Glenda, you are next.
Yay.
So Glenda, if you will introduce yourself.
I'm Glenda Beckwith. I own Alexander Portrait Designers. I also own Drone Production Group. Starting the first of the year, I have created an umbrella, a main company that is going to be called G4 Media Group, because we've added so much video because it's so important. So we're launching all of that January 1st. Okay.
All right. So if someone wanted to create their very own video, the number one thing, the first thing before you even think about equipment and where you're going to do all of this, what's the very first thing that you need to have?
You need to have a message. What do you want to say? What do you want to put out there? Content. Because nobody wants to just hear you ramble and go on and on and on. They want to, people will, if you start rambling after 5 seconds, they're gone. They're not, people don't have patience to wait.
Right. Well, and then what's the length of a video that we need to make sure we stay at or around?
Anywhere from a minute to 2 minutes.
Okay.
You start going further than that, there again, attention span is gone.
Okay. All right. And so once we have a message, what's the next thing that we need to look at doing?
Probably, what are you going to do? Are you going to add B-roll? B-roll meaning other video you've shot that you can edit and put together to make it more interesting. Where are you going to shoot? A lot like Steve, your equipment. What are you going to use? Mics are, I will talk with Steve again, mics are extremely important. You can use your iPhone, but or your cell phone, you're going to pick up all that noise.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to figure out where you want to do. Lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I can't tell you how critical lighting is, because If you're sitting in the shadows, nobody's going to see your face. If you're in bright sunlight, nobody sees you.
Right.
There again,
Well, and hey, just as a side note, I know that Michelle and I have done some videos, and if your lighting is bad, it can make you look really old and tired. Yeah, so lighting is really important.
diffused. You know, most of the lighting I use is all continuous lights, means they don't flash. So you
Mhm.
want a diffuser over there to soften everything down.
Okay. All right. So once you've got your, and you've, again, too, you've got a list of equipment and suggestions on products to buy and stuff like that. But probably, a big piece of it is like what you said, the content and that. And I know that you have an example of a bad video, just so that people can kind of get an idea of how it can all go wrong.
Very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. So I am going to share my screen here, and we're going to look at this video for a second, and you can tell us what goes wrong with this video. Hang on just a second. The other thing I have to remember to do is I have to remember to optimize, or it doesn't do its thing, but we'll see.
I want you guys to look at it and see. I know obviously you're reading, but see what the message is, or lack of is probably a better word. But when you're doing video, always pay attention to your surroundings.
Can everybody see in here?
Design zit in je ziel, zeg maar.
Ik snap ze niet altijd, die designers, maar ik begrijp ze wel. Streaming video, daar doen wij steeds meer mee. Dat is echt kicken.
Ach, projectleider. Nou ja, je helpt toch zo'n hele...
Okay, so tell us what's wrong with this video.
If you haven't figured it out, what are they selling? What's their message? It's not a recruiting company. It looked like basically a brothel. Everything is wrong on that video. You know, the sound, it's a train wreck.
Right. And also knowing what your brand is, what is it that you're trying to represent, making sure that the message is consistent across all your platforms, no matter what it is, right?
Yeah, and then that's where we still back up and start at the beginning. What's your message? What do you need to be consistent about?
Yeah, because you can have a beautiful video, but if the messaging is wrong, or it still isn't right.
No, it's a pretty video, but nobody knows who you are, what you're selling, what you're offering, what you're trying to bring out and tell people.
And how important are videos today?
Videos are about 70% of what people are looking for. They're not reading your website. They're looking for video. Video will bring them in. They will retain your audience.
Well, and also, doesn't video improve your SEO because of its, especially hosted on YouTube, or if you're putting it on YouTube, all of that, Google actually reads that, and it bumps that up.
It bumps, yeah, because as we all know, Google owns everything, so they own YouTube. So
Yeah.
you put it out on YouTube, you put it out on your website, you push it on every social platform you can, and it will push that SEO and bring people. And that's
Okay.
not the point.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to ask my Zoomers if there's any questions in regards to video. And again, remind everybody that you will get a copy of all of these great tips and, more important, equipment that you need and where you can buy it. But if somebody has a question in regards to video and how you do video.
Can I give one tip real quick?
Sure.
Okay, here's my cell phone. Quit taking videos this way. Turn the camera, turn your phone. It is the simplest thing I can ever tell you. I know.
Why is that?
For viewing purposes, because everything is shot horizontal, and then you're trying to shoot a video vertical and all that dead space.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like taking a group shot of people, 10 people, and you're shooting it vertical, so you get all of the junk down at the bottom instead of just turning it horizontal. It's simple.
Any other video questions?
Glenda, on that note, if let's say you're working with other people and they unfortunately shoot a video in vertical, what would your recommendation be to fix that?
Actually, Frederick, there's not a whole lot you can do because it depends. Let me rephrase that.
You could crop it, couldn't you?
Crop it, but it depends on how you've shot it. Is it on your iPhone? Did you shoot it in what they call 1080? Did you shoot it in 4K? 1080 is going to be compressed. 4K gives me non-compressed to where I could have a chance of cropping it. But if you crop something that's shot wrong, you're going to pick up, what's the word? A lot of pixelation.
Mm.
It's going to look like doo-doo is what it's going to look like.
Blurry.
Blurry, that's a better word.
There you go.
I was searching. So
Well, that's the other thing. You said 4K, the different sizes. And I know that you gave me a tip on my phone, making sure that your phone setting is correct on video before you start taking videos with your phone.
Right. And most of the new smartphones all do 4K. You just got to go into your settings and switch it over. There again, I want as much information on that file as I can get, instead of compressing it and making it small and giving me pixelation. So that's what I would highly recommend. Switch everything to 4K. Now, if you've got an old computer, it's not going to handle that.
Yeah.
But most people have upgraded in the last couple of years.
Sonia?
Yeah, one of the best things that Glenda ever did for me was give me a super quick training on how to use a gimbal. So if you're going to use your phone and make your own videos, the gimbals are, they're relatively inexpensive. I got it for, I think, $100 on Amazon. It's a slight learning curve, but there's all kinds of YouTube videos. You just go find it, and it really does change the game. And I use an app called
This is it.
That's it. That is
Yeah.
it. Well, let me think of the name of my app, because it just eluded me. I use Spark Camera to do just quick videos with my phone, because it allows a lot of editing really quickly. You can add music, you can add voiceover, you can add so many things, and you can do it all from your phone. That's my recommendation, because it's super easy, and then you can just upload it to your social.
Yeah, a gimbal nowadays for a phone I use the Osmos, and $99. It does everything I want. It will even let me track. So if somebody's walking and I'm videoing and them walking, I can put a tracker on them and follow them completely, and everything is smooth. And that's what you want on video. You don't want to jump and go crazy. You want smooth. There again, guys, you want to pull in your audience. You want to keep their attention. So, shoot it right. Practice. It's just a phone, just practice.
Any other questions for video?
Glenda, you said Osmos?
Osmos.
That's an app or?
No, it's a stabilization. It'll be on my equipment list. I'll be sending the PDF to everybody, so they'll have all my equipment list. And like Steve, mine will go from medium, small to large, depending on your budget and your experience. But the Osmos for $99, perfect investment.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are now going to social media. And Miss Sonia, if you will, we're going to talk about Facebook, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
we
if
are.
you'll introduce yourself, please.
Sure. My name's Sonia Salazar. I am the newly founded CEO and president of my own company. I just started Wise Media Group, and I really started this right at the beginning of the pandemic in March. I started trying to learn how to make videos and really learn about the analytics of social media. So that's my background. I'm a data person, numbers, the whole 9 yards. So I just had to see what was working for me on social media and what wasn't. And then I volunteered to run other people's just to see what I was capable of and what I could do. So now we're at the point, I think I just yesterday got paid for the first time for my efforts. So it's been an awesome journey so far, and I'm excited to see what else I can learn. And really, honestly, everything is out there on the interwebs. You just got to find it. But what I can do for you is just summarize it all. So that's what we're going to do today, is really look at Facebook, and we're going to use the Chamber's Facebook page because it really is a shining star. It has a great engaged audience. So we'll take a look at that. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm just going to walk you quickly through touch points on your insights page on Facebook.
Before you do that, I want you to talk about, because you used some verbiage that is very powerful, and that social media, you need to learn how to use it as a tool versus a toy.
Correct.
And
Yes.
and be very intentional with what goes on there.
Right.
And that is extremely important. So will you start with that before you go into your other stuff?
Sure. So that was one of the things I found. I'm going to give you a recommendation of a podcast to listen to. It's called Social Media Examiner, and they really go in on all the platforms, and they just give you all those tips and tricks that you can listen to. And one of the things I got from it was use social media as a tool and not a toy. And it's so easy to flip that because we're just used to the scrolling, right? So I definitely, I mean, as my job, obviously I have to be on it longer, but I generally advise people to use it for an hour or half an hour to an hour, intentionally scheduling your post, doing your analytics, you know, a half hour in the morning and a half hour in the afternoon, because things change so fast. Doing it like once in the morning is probably not enough if you're doing it yourself. So just take a quick and set your timer, half hour, that's it. Once you're done, that's it. Just leave it alone.
And the other thing that I want to have you talk about, because really before they do anything, there should be an analysis done, because that's what you did for me.
Yes.
And that to me is the most powerful place to start, because we all have Facebook, we all have some sort of social media, but to do that analysis and really look at how you're going to, what you need to be doing, talk about that.
Right. So it all starts with analyzing your posts, truly. And I'll show that here on the screen shortly, but it's really looking at what is working for you and what is not. And you can start, I mean, even if you're not getting a whole lot of attention, take the most popular. And I mean, you can repurpose your content every 2 weeks, because people, they're just not going to remember or they never saw it. I mean, that's just the truth of it. I mean, you're only reaching a certain percentage of your audience anyway, and everything falls to the bottom of the newsfeed. I mean, it's just a constant scroll, as we all know. So because that's what we like to do. So
Yeah.
don't be afraid to repurpose your best material, and then repurpose it on other platforms if you're on multiple platforms. So okay, so we'll take a look at that. Let me share.
All right.
All right. So, okay, so this is the chamber page. So I'm just, for people that do not know anything about their analytics, you got the, the quick insights right here, right? So last 28 days, as you can see, we're just going to give all the cred to Lori because it is really, really good. She's reached 16,000 people in the last 30 days, and that is really amazing. And I'm going to tell you why. I know the number one reason is because of the lives. So lives will get you attention no matter what. So let me, okay. So, and engagement. Okay, so engagement. To get engagement, you have to give engagement. That means you have to be very active, liking, commenting, and sharing other people's stuff. And generally, they will do that in return. So I know that on the mayoral candidate forum, there was 52 shares. We might be up from there. 52 shares is quite a lot for a lot, that's just an amazing number. So if you look at other people, like I follow a couple different people that go live like twice a week. Some people go live every day. Their shares are in the thousands. So it's building up that audience, and that's how you get to them. So, okay, so that's your basic overview. You can change this obviously to 7 days, yesterday, whatever you want to see. So if you notice, so here's another thing when you talk about page likes. So page likes up 10,000% because of a pretty simple action, which is inviting your personal network to like your business page. It's one of the simplest, easiest things you should be doing on a very regular basis. So, and remind people, because again, they're not going to remember. It's just effective life. So let's go over to the other side. We'll hit the insights button here. And this is where people get real. They don't want to look at these. They don't like looking at them, whatever the case may be. So again, it just goes a little bit more in depth, shows you in a graphical manner if that's how you are able to consume the data that you have in front of you. Let's see what else. If we look down here at videos specifically, right? So because like I said, the lives before, and she did, I think 3 this week. So, I mean, the percentage is amazing. And then it'll show you, if you're doing ads, which I'm not so good on ads as far as my belief in them. I definitely believe in organic, because organic is people truly want to be on your page, truly want to interact with your page, and are getting value from it. So, I mean, she really doesn't need to do ads anymore ever again, as far as I can tell. So, post engagements, just again, telling you everything that's happening here in the last 7 days. So you can go even further. So what I do is we go into the post section. And this is going to tell you how your posts are behaving. So it tells you the type, video, photos. I think there's links in here. Now, Lori is a beast, okay? She's posting a lot. I recommend at least twice a week. I mean, at the minimum, I would say twice a week. Preferably 4 times a week, but start with twice a week very consistently. Schedule it, plan it, do what you got to do. Then if you see stuff that you want to share, that's just bonus. That's just added stuff. So keeping it consistent every week is really one of the most important things you can do.
And I'm going to interrupt you for just a minute, because the same holds true with video, that you state that your page needs to stay consistent with whatever your overall message is.
Right. We had a little discussion about that yesterday.
Yes, we did. But it's true. That's
true.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to be consistent in your messaging.
Right.
Everywhere.
So, everywhere. Right. So you can even see, I mean, it's pretty real time. It shows even our live right now. We've reached 111 people and 44 engagement, which is great. Right. So you can tell, it gives you your time of day, which is also very important. You want to look at when your fans are online. It tells you right here, and it tells you when they are online the most. So, okay, Pacific time zone. Remember that these times are in Pacific time. So 4 o'clock in the afternoon is the chamber's most audience will be available. So, and it gives you the days. I mean, all the numbers are, I mean, you concentrate on that number only. If you schedule 2 posts a week at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I mean, that's really your biggest bang for your buck if you are time constricted. So I would go anywhere from 1 to 4 p.m. would probably be good here. So I look at, okay, so this one, here's the mayoral candidate. And if you click on them, they will give you more stats. So it gives you all kinds of things over here. It tells you you've reached 4,000 people. It's unique video shares, post engagements 529. Excellent numbers. So, and you can go even deeper into these things. I won't do that at this moment, but you can see how long they watched it for. And the average watch time was 1 minute and 24 seconds on this. So, so yeah, and then you can, on regular, like static posts, let's see, let's do quotes. Quotes are a big one. Quotes are the easiest, most engaging thing you can do.
Ooh, and this is one of my favorite quotes.
So that's true. And this is what she's doing right now. So, so it tells you if we had more shares here and you had more activity, it tells you exactly where the activity is. So I know we had another one that was shared a whole bunch. Let me find one. And it's this one. Yes, the squirrels one. For whatever reason, see, that's the thing. It had 25 likes on shares, if you can see that, right? And then the ha-has and all the things. So 8 shares, which is really good for a static post. For just a quote, that's really, really decent. So you see it reached 1,000 people, had 66 engagements. So you can't really beat those kind of numbers. And people are just really, they really like it. Our social media strategy session from what, almost 3 weeks ago was really decent too. So I always say, and repurpose it. You can totally repurpose it. What else? Let me see what else I had. Okay, so if you go to your very first page here, and it says, sorry, I'm not where I want to be. Hold on.
I feel like I'm at the doctor.
Go over here. When you're on your main page, you can go to publishing tools, right? It will take you to the business suite. And this is where you can schedule posts for both. And if you have your Instagram and Facebook connected, you can do it all here, right? So here's where you schedule your post, your drafts, all the things. And we can go way into the weeds, but we won't here. This is just a quick overview. So if you're going to create a post, and you can do both here, blah, 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 type your text, add a picture if you want to, whatever, we'll just say
Or
hi.
that video that we've been talking about.
I can't even type, geez, hi. Okay. And then I don't want to do anything. You can add a call to action. So if you want people to message you about something, you do that there. And then if I had more content here, it would give me the option here to schedule it right here at this little drop down arrow. But I'm not done yet and I don't want to post that. So, and then it even gives you the previews. So you can see what it looks like on mobile, which is super important. Mobile first, always mobile first, because people are on their phones generally. They're generally not on their desktop when they're looking at social media. And then you can even see what it looks like on Instagram here. So, and because it's a text, it's not going to show preview. Instagram is all about the pictures. So,
okay, so we need to wrap her up.
Yep.
So give me what your best overall piece of advice when it comes to Facebook.
When it comes to for business, I would say inviting your personal network to like your business page is one of the most important things you can do, because you build your audience of people that already know you, already like you, already trust you. They're gonna get into your page and then start seeing your content, and maybe they'll share it, maybe they won't even share it on Facebook, but they'll see it, and you have that potential of a word of mouth reference just from this. So
okay. All right, if you will stop sharing your screen, and then if our Zoomers have questions that they would like to ask you about Facebook.
Hey, Sonia, it's Ronnie. I have a quick question.
Sure. Hi.
So I've never really got into Facebook very much and focused a lot of my social media attention on LinkedIn because I didn't want Facebook to take up a lot of time
Sure.
that I don't have to be using. So what's your recommendation to keeping Facebook professional and using it for professional purposes without slipping down that slippery slope to into just socializing on Facebook?
Okay, sure. So I was just took a LinkedIn class with Glenda the other day, and it really is one of the most up and coming things. So you're really actually ahead of the curve on this. So I would just, depending on what you're posting on LinkedIn, I would just simply copy it and just schedule it using the business, the publishing tools. I mean, you can use your old stuff, whatever you got the most attention on LinkedIn, take those old posts and just repurpose them on Facebook and see what it can do for you. And I like to do it on Mondays personally, just because it's, beginning of the week, et cetera, et cetera. It's a lot of work up front. I would say maybe a couple of hours, look through your old, really, really look through them and see what got the most attention, and then plan your month, 2 posts a week.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Okay, so then we're going to move forward. Now, the reason why we want to do all of this content is we're going to talk about lead generation. And that's the whole point. The whole point in doing digital media, digital marketing, is to attract potential new customers to you. And that's what it's all about. So I am going to share my screen now, and I'm going to show you a couple of things. And again, you'll have this information as well in your handouts that you're going to get. But in lead generation, the goal here is that you want to collect information. You want to put stuff out there that allows you to tap in and collect email addresses and names. And then once you have that, you want to provide relevant information, stuff that people care about. So if you're putting some things out there, it's kind of like fishing. And so you use, maybe a worm, or you use a spinner bait, whatever it is that you use. Well, the one that gets the most attention, that's the one that you go, oh, okay, well, this is what my audience likes, and this is what my audience wants. And so then you begin to build things around that. You begin to build more content as you put that out there. And your goal then is to, once you attract these people, to convert them to customers, right? And you do that by using the blog, by using a podcast like what Steve talked about, by doing different types of online content. It could be videos. All these things you definitely want to post on social media. That's why we talk about social media. And then there's all different types of things. I've got a list of different types of generators that you can use. But it works like this. So someone runs across something that you've got posted somewhere. And in that, there's a call to action, just like what Sonia said. Either, click here to learn more, and it takes them to your website, or click here and download this free copy, or click here and download this video or this white paper, or sign up for this free event, whatever that is. If it takes you then to a landing page, which is within your website, that's where you collect your information. And so that's where they have to give something in order to get what it is that they want. And then once they're there, now you've got this information that you've captured, and that all now needs to go into some sort of a software program or automated system that now you can start to send information to. So now you know what interests them. Now you know how to customize the information that you send out. I know you guys have all been on the internet and you've been looking for, I don't know, a sweater, a pair of shoes, a book, and then all of a sudden you get all this stuff. Every time you sign in or pop in on something, you're getting all these ads. Well, this is how they do it. And so this is the wave of that whole artificial intelligence on what we're looking for, and how to build that that customer base. So these are some different types of content that you can create. And again, it's kind of like when we go back to the podcast and the video, and we talked about that messaging. Whatever your messaging is, whatever your company's message is, what do you want to be known for? You stay in the flavor, you stay in that zone. And when you go to create content, it needs to be in that flavor, in that zone. But these are just some different things that you can create. Once you get all your stuff kind of organized, then you become a content generator, because now it's all about creating the content and then you just push it out. All right. But every time you push something out, you're trying to pull prospects back in. So this is a software program. It's called SendInBlue, and it's a complete marketing automation system. Now, some people have it built into some of their systems. I know that I've got a marketing automation system built in, and it's extremely important that you automate this. You cannot try to do this through an Excel spreadsheet. That ain't going to work. So you've got to find something that automates the process for you. There's all kinds of systems out there. But once this comes in and you've got the emails, you've captured this and you've categorized where their interests are, now you can put up automated workflows so that once you've done that, you've got a series of email messages that go out. And that is an automated workflow. So once you set this thing up, it goes on autopilot, and that's the beauty. And that's the light at the end of the tunnel as you're beginning to do all of this, because you will be so overwhelmed as you begin this process. Trust me, I went through it. I know Glenda's gone through it. Sonia's been doing it. It can be very overwhelming, but once you get it set up, it's done. And then now you just feed the machine, which is your content. There are different programs out there to find email addresses. So maybe you want to do it from that perspective. Hunter is one. That's a software program. And Viola Norbert, or Norbert, however you say that, is another software program that you can use to search and find email addresses for you to pull in. But the best content for the sales funnel, which is really what we're talking about, is how do you pull these people into your sales funnel and then bring them down through to hopefully at the end make them a customer of yours. But a how-to guide is the number one thing that you can put out as far as content wise that people will want, that they'll gravitate to, because if it's something that interests them, that they need to know, and you've got it, a how-to, I want that. I want to download that. And it's interesting because I don't know about you, but I have done this because I'm always looking for information. I'm kind of I'm an input person when it comes to information. I'd like to gather it and hang on to it. Well, doing that, I've seen how the process works on that end, because once you do that, then all of a sudden they start sending you all kinds of things. But anyway, so the other thing that you can do is use a keyword research tool to decide what type of content that you're going to create. So whatever your business is, whatever your niche is, if you do a keyword search, what are people searching for in regards to real estate, commercial real estate, residential real estate. I'll use Steve's example. And when you see what the searches are focused on, that kind of gives you a clue into what people's interest is. Now you create content around that. Create a how-to or an informational piece. I know that old school thought was, don't give away your information, because, oh my gosh, if you give away your information, they're not going to need you. But that's just the opposite. You need to give away information. You need to show people how to do things. Give them part of your knowledge. Yes, there will be people that will take some of that and do it on their own, but where did they get it? They got it from you, and they'll remember that. And they'll come back to you for information. And now you've elevated yourself to that of an expert. And then there are people who look at that and go, oh my God, that's all great. I love what you're saying, but I sure don't want to do that. And so that again is another reason why you want to put that information out there. So don't let that scare you. But that is basically the reason why we're doing what we're doing. That's why we're giving this information out. And trying to help people understand what digital marketing is all about. It is extremely important today, no matter what type of business you have, you've got to be on digital marketing. You got to be online. That's the secret. And it's not going to change. And it's just going to continue to intensify. So I'm going to open it up to see if anybody has any final questions. Make sure that you have, if you know, those that are online, definitely registered. So I have your email addresses. I'll make sure that you get the handouts and all the information. If you're live on Facebook and you didn't register, make sure and reach out to the chamber and we will get the information to you. But I'll open it up for questions.
Hi, Lori. How do you go about doing the keyword research?
Okay, you're kind of cut out a little bit there.
How do you go about doing keyword research?
So there's all different types of tools. You can actually use Google. Google has a really good keyword analyzer, and you just go in and use it and start. A lot of it, you're going to have to use your knowledge a little bit about your industry, but just by typing in a couple of things, you'll be able to see which keywords are most commonly used. Which ones are hot right now. There's even, Google does a, Sonia, what is it that they do this thing where you can see what the trends are and you can see what people are
Google
searching.
Trends.
Google Trends. Yeah. Yeah. Google has it all, y'all. That's, I'm telling you, Google's the bomb. They own the world on the internet.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Anybody else? Also, just in speaking about Google, part of our chamber marketing team is Jonathan Taylor, and he is actually Google certified, which is a big deal. And he is also an expert on SEO. And all of that is extremely important. I will also tell you, those of you that are members of the chamber, the SEO of the chamber is phenomenal because we have all of our members linked to us. And so that raises our SEO. And when you're a member of the chamber, you actually get to leverage all of the websites of all the members. So that's a powerful resource in itself. Brett Jeffries has a question.
Yes, ma'am. What are your thoughts on some of the, I guess, social media aggregators where you can post once and it goes across all platforms?
I like that. I think it makes it easy. Sonia, what do you think?
It all depends on like what you can afford. HubSpot, I believe, is free. So you can do that. Of course, you're giving up your information. But so it just depends. I used to use Thrive and it was okay. You can use Canva if you're using Canva to create your stuff. Canva has a content planner now, and so you can link your socials to it and post from there. So that's really easy, a way to do it. I haven't found one that I love yet, but when I do, I will post it.
Anybody else? Okay, so I am going to sign us out. I appreciate everybody attending, and we will get the information out to you shortly. So I hope your Friday and your weekend is fabulous, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Good stuff. Thank you.